Okay, this is the M44 Swedish Army one-man kitchen. Gets the job done. It's not bad. Would I recommend it for hiking? Backpacking? No, not at all. But I've used it for. I've carried this on the motorcycle. It's been good for that. It's worked. But for backpacking, it's a bit too bulky, too heavy, and it's not really versatile enough. It boils water. You can cook in it in a pinch, but you really shouldn't. The Swedish Army nickname for this was the Snuskburk. Snuskburk. I'll write it down on the screen. Means filthy can. And the reason for that is, this is so deep, so hard to really get in there. It gets dirty real quick. You can't clean it out that easily, especially in field conditions or marching conditions where you sit down, you eat, and you have to pack up real quick and get back on the move again. These get gross quick if you do anything more than boiling water in them. So if you're going to cook in them, I recommend just cooking in the lid / frying pan / small pot. You boil your water. Boil your water in the big one, and then rehydrate in a bag, or boil a bag, or rehydrate in this, and call it a day. Because otherwise, all your shit's gonna get gross. But let's check out what it comes with. This one was made in 1971. I think they continued making these until the 80s. These were issued to regular ground troops, who generally had vehicle support or weren't going to go that far from, where a hot meal was already available. If they were going to go further than that, they would be issued a completely different kitchen set. Something lighter weight that was a lot more versatile. This comes with the main pot, and this is aluminum. Here's a lid / frying pan / smaller pot or eating vessel. This comes with little D-rings on the handle, so you can shove a stick in there. Keep your hand off the hot metal. All of this is set up where you can cook with it over a fire, if necessary. Over a wood fire or whatever you have. This bale has a hook on it where you can hang it from a stick over a fire if you need to. But it also works as a handle for pouring. I'm pretty sure I've got footage of me doing that earlier, so don't have to really demonstrate that harder. But just demonstrate, this bit that works. It was well designed, well thought out. It's just not great for hiking. Also comes with this pot stand with, let's get that right. It's a pot stand and windshield. So the pot fits into there, elevated off of the burner. And here is the burner. It's the Swedish Defense Trangia. It's a lot larger than the standard Trangia spirit burner, and it kind of has to be. But this one doesn't come with the simmering lid that you'll find on the smaller standard civilian types, or the modern type. Which I believe I have one in here. Yes. For comparison's sake, here's the defense one that comes with this cook set, and here is the standard civilian one. It's much smaller, but the civilian one comes with a simmering ring, so you can actually adjust the flame. And this one should also come with a fuel bottle. Not sure how well that could be seen. If necessary, I'll take a photo later and put that right here. Yeah. And this fuel bottle is good for 2 to 4 meals, depending on how much you're boiling or how much or how cold it is. Because the colder it is, the worse the alcohol works. And of course, the more energy needed to, heat water. Aside from that, that's it. It's a simple system. It's a bit bulky. It works for what it was designed for, but unless you're packing this into a vehicle and you only plan on rehydrating things with it, I don't recommend it. But if you are just packing it into a vehicle as an emergency stove, by all means, it's actually really good for that. But for the price, for the weight, for the bulk, you can get so much better. You have so many more options that I don't think this is worth it. But, if you're just into collecting, like I am, absolutely. Like, this is a great collector's piece. But unfortunately, I think that's really all it is nowadays. Also, I recommend keeping the fuel bottle in a plastic bag, because many of the fuels used for spirit burners have bitterants in them, and you don't want that getting into anything that's going to be touching your food. So, just in case, just always pack it into a bag. And stop any leaks before they start, But it packs down. You can fit folding, the Swedish folding cup into it, along with the stove, the fuel bottle, a sponge, some cleaning equipment, a spoon, or spork. It can all pack down in there pretty well. But it packs up nicely. As long as you actually put as much stuff inside as possible, it doesn't really rattle around, which is good. Okay. So a bit of history on these. This is the M44. It was originally issued in 1944. This one's from 1971. This was in service from 1944 until sometime in the 80s. Though I believe the Home Guard the Swedish Home Guard had them in service until the late 90s, maybe early 2000s. They have since been replaced by more modern gas canisters or, more modern commercial versions of, or militarized versions of commercially available spirit burner type stoves. Generally, they're smaller now. Things like the Optimus Crux. There's a Swedish military version of that. But for this, this was based on the M40 from 4 years earlier, which was made in stainless steel. This is the aluminum version of that, which itself was an upgrade on an older model from, I believe, 1918, which did not have the stove portion. It was just the pot and the two pots stacked. The wind burner and the stove were added in the 40s. Before that, I believe in the 1890s, there was a copper version of it. Copper and nickel, if I remember correctly. I'll see if I can find a photo of that, post it in here, or put it up on the screen. And that was literally just a shrunken down version of the squad level, or the unit level cooking set, which was a large copper pot, to cook for everybody. And that itself was based on designs dating back to the Romans. Every contubernum, every like squad size element would have one cooking vessel, and they would prepare meals together. So this has almost a direct line to the Roman legionary armies and their cooking vessels, which that's pretty cool. I'd like to someday have a collection of an example from every stage along that, but that'll be a long time from now. Until then, I have a huge collection of hiking stoves and camping stoves anyway. I might have a problem. But until then, this is probably just going to stay on the shelf or with my motorcycle, because I'm not hiking with this if I don't have to. So, while I eat my noodles, I'll try to give a more accurate history of the M44 and its predecessors. The M44 was designed in 1944, but it looks like they weren't actually produced until sometime in the 1950s or 60s, as the stainless steel M40 was produced in great quantity during the war, and they worked through the old stock. And the windscreen and burner also appeared around this time, around the 1960s. The Swedish Armed Forces seems to have gone back and forth between the squad level and individual level kitchens for a while. The large copper pot I showed earlier was from the 1890s, but the copper set, which looked much like this one, entered service in the 1840s. There were also some periods where individuals would not be issued cooking sets at all, but would instead eat from preserved rations or from mobile kitchen carts. As for the M44 Enmanskök Kokkärl, or the Snuskburk, yeah. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to boil half a liter of water depending on conditions, but it'll hold up to 1 liter. It weighs about 1.3 kilos or 3 pounds without fuel, and is designed to be carried strapped to the outside of your pack. It's clever considering most of its design features are nearly 200 years old, and these things are built to survive conscripts, so they'll handle whatever it is that you can throw at them. They're virtually indestructible, and it fits, just like most of the older Swedish military-issued military gear. And that should cover just about everything.